Hello pirates, and welcome to day 3 of the Lumberjack sew along. Today we're going to add the sleeves, sew the side seams, which means add the side seam pockets if you're choosing to have them, and finish the front where the placket is. Not a very complicated day. A few steps, but not complicated at all. So let's start with the sleeves. You should have the shoulder seams stitched from yesterday. I am adding the sleeve with the cuff, so with the woven cuff. So I know that this part will go towards the back. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to run a little basting stitch along the arm curve. It's not a gathered arm side, but running a basting stitch, which is a very long stitch, will help ease the curve. If you need to, pull a little bit on the bobbin to ease it into the arm opening. So I'm not back stitching, I'm leaving some tails, and I'll do that for both sleeves. Where are my second sleeve? Oh, they were stuck to each other. The beauty of working with flannel, very staticky. Oh, I think I accidentally backstitch, but this side here is not backstitch, so I can pull on that side, not a problem. Okay, let's bring back the stitch length to 2.5 so we don't forget, and we're going to pin the sleeves along the arm opening. So we know the yoke is on the back, which means we're going to find the sleeve that has the slit here or the 2 notches at the top, and we're going to put that towards the back of the shirt. Very important that you don't switch this around. You don't want, instead of the cuff closing here, your cuff will be closing here, so, and you don't want that. I'm pinning the shoulder seam first. Then, as I do with all my shirts, I'm pinning the edges, both sides. Like so. And then I'm going to put a few pins throughout, and if I need to pull a little on the bobbin thread to do a small gathering, I will. It's not a gathered sleeve, and honestly, with the 1/2 inch seam allowance, you can have this waviness here. It's fine as long as the seam allowance lays flat and there's no puckering there. This waviness is totally okay, because the arm size is designed with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, same thing on the other side. Okay, and let's stitch again following a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Go slow to make sure that there's no puckers. Okay, so we're going to repeat, of course, we're going to repeat the exact same thing on the other sleeve. This is a pattern that can be done 100% on the sewing machine. You would just have to finish your raw edges of the unlined option using a zigzag stitch or an overlock stitch on your sewing machine. I will be finishing mine with the serger, but if you don't have one, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be making this shirt. Okay, again, matching my notch to the shoulder seam, then matching the side seams. Right sides together. And placing a few pins throughout. If you're doing the lined option, then you will have two pairs of sleeves. You're going to have the sleeves for the main and the sleeves for the lining. So you'll be repeating this same step 4 times. Stitch this down. Make sure that there is no poppers. Now we're going to finish the raw edge of the arm opening with the serger, or you can use your sewing machine with a zigzag stitch. Going to do the same thing on the other side. This will also trim that basting stitch or enclose it in the serger stitch. There you have it, the sleeves are added. So now we're going to focus on the pockets before we do the side seams. Okay, so grab your pockets. You should have 4 pocket pieces, regardless of the style you're making. Actually, I think you might, yeah, you have 4 pocket pieces. So if you noticed in the pattern, and hopefully I'm going to finish taping this so long before I lose my voice completely, because I know you can hear that my voice is fading. But getting back to the pattern, so you should have your pocket pieces that look something like this, a weirdly long shape, but trust me, it's made so the pocket doesn't show on the bottom of your shirt. So once you hem, you don't want the pocket peeking through when the kids or you stuff it with the object. So right now the pocket is meant to be sewn, and we'll see that later today, into the front of the jacket. So let's grab the side seams, remember where we've marked our notches, and we're going to stitch the pockets right sides together on all sides. Okay, so these are 2. 1 on each side. You can see where the slit is right there. And you're going to repeat this on all 4 side seams. Okay, so now make sure that this little corner goes down. Because while it has a weird shape, it does have an up and a down. So if you're not sure, mark it when you do your cutting, which one is the top and which one is the bottom, like the direction of your pocket. And again, same thing on the other side. That's why having put all those notches and all the slits when we cut the fabric was the best thing. Because we are using woven and this edge will stay raw, we're gonna run it quickly through the serger to finish the raw edge. And this is again only for the unlined version. For the lined version, all your raw edges will be in the seam, in the lining, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay. And I will show you how I run it through the serger, only the pocket part. Okay, so what I do is when I go to the serger, I place my needle down while I keep this opening, like the slits that we made, I keep it open. This way I only stitch in the pocket. I don't stitch the rest of the shirt. Like so. We will finish that raw edge once we sew the side seams together. But for now, just finish the raw edge of your pocket part. 4 times. One, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now let's sew the side seams. Bring your shirt right sides together along the sleeve. Double check once more that the slit here is towards the back of the shirt. Pin along the side seams from the top of the sleeve, like here, to the bottom, going through, pinning around the pocket. Okay, so this is what you should have. this is the top of the sleeve. We're going to run a stitch all the way the side seams with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So here I like to come to make sure that I have 1/2 inch for the seam allowance, so it's a little lower than when they meet. Pivot and go all around. Pivot and go all the way down. So now your side seam is sewn with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. We're going to go ahead and run this through the serger. So this is what it looks like. Let's move to the serger and finish the raw edges. The raw edges are finished on one side. I'll go ahead and do the same thing on the other side off camera, so you don't watch me do the exact same thing one more time. And I'll meet you back here in a second so we can finish the front placket. Alright, I went ahead and stitched the other side seams. I also serged it, and because my iron is on the other side of the room, I also went ahead and pressed along the fold lines on the front edge of both sides. Remember, when you add your interfacing, to leave about 1/2 inch on the bottom uninterfaced so it's easier to hem afterwards. But for now, I just went ahead and pressed along the fold lines on both sides. So for the last step of today, we're going to stitch this placket along the fold lines, and we're also going to enclose this vertical edge of the pocket in this stitching. So you can see, once I fold it, there's a little bit of the pocket, not a lot, but a little bit of the pocket that goes in the seam. And you want that. You want that to be able to hold the pocket so it doesn't peek from the bottom of the shirt, like I said. So let's go ahead and top stitch this. I have interfaced my flannel with Geeky Fuse Cotton Soft. If you don't have that, you can use SF101 or any of your preferred woven interfacing. Don't skip the interfacing because it will help you when you add the buttons or snaps. I'll be adding snaps. It will also help you hold the fabric in place and have a nice collar if you're adding a collar, or a nice cuff. So make sure that you don't skip the interfacing. If you're doing the lined version, your lining will fit in this edge, kind of like the pocket does, but it will be the whole lining along this side. So you're going to put the sleeves inside, the wrong sides together, and your lining will fit in this edge. So see, now the pocket is stuck here. We're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. Having pre-ironed this makes a world of difference. So just stitching a few stitches here to hold it down. I'm bringing the pocket. And you can see the seam encloses a little bit of the pocket. I pressed it so I know it's straight. And I'm stitching this with about 1/8 of an inch seam allowance from this edge. So it's 1/8 of an inch from this edge and about 1 inch from this edge. Okay, so this is what your inside should look like if you're doing the unlined option. If you're doing the lined option, right now you should have your lining and your main wrong sides together, so you won't be seeing any of these stitches in your for the lined option. Okay, that's it for today. Snap a photo of your progress and post it in the day 3 photo comments of the Sew Along album. You can find the Sew Along album in the Made for Mermaids and Patterns for Pirates Sew Along group on Facebook. I will link it in the description of the video as well, so it's an easy click. That's where we'll be choosing the winners of the Sew Along, so if you want a chance to win one of the 2 prizes available, make sure that you check in. If not, you can just follow along from the YouTube channel, just for the joy of sewing along with us. I'll see you back here tomorrow when we'll be adding the cuffs to the sleeves. Bye!